YouTube. Running live on Facebook. I see the Facebook. Okay, both are ready. We'll give it a few minutes before we start. Yeah. Oh my gosh, my eyes are itchy. It's not. If it's not my nose, it's my eyes. You know.
These are the sensory organs.
These are the stuff that don't appear if we did not shoot this live. Maybe edited out.
Well, it's our brand to be messy.
Mm-hmm. Hey, you're
Yo.
Nice to see you there joining us. Pico is also there. Hello, hello, hello. Oh my gosh, we're excited to talk about today's topic in more ways than one.
Because Toby was able to count his sessions for experience.
Which in itself is one of the reasons why we love this game.
So many things to love about this game.
So we are, I think a few more minutes.
Oh yeah, it's plenty. It's a Sunday. We're taking it slow.
Hey, Andre. And no, you didn't almost miss us. We just literally started.
Yeah, you're super on time.
So, I guess for those who are who saw the announcement, we are starting to dive deeper into some geeky stuff. Whether it's shows, movies, books, games.
It's because you've slacked off and you've stopped giving us topics. No, I'm kidding.
No. We have a lot of topics which we feel we want to prepare for in some way before we actually tackle them.
Everything about drag.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of stuff about local drag, and I think as much as we don't claim to be experts, it would be nice to get some professionals involved. Yes, I'm cleaning my glasses.
Mm-hmm.
So we would like to get some of our drag queen friends involved in that.
Especially since that will offer opportunities and perspectives that we don't see.
Oh, totally. I mean, we only appreciate drag from the outside, not, from behind the makeup.
Mm-hmm. And then we had some topics which we decided not to tackle.
Well, some are just plain difficult.
There were a few about washing dishes, which I don't think we are willing to tackle.
There's one about folding clothes. And guys, why are you so fascinated about our laundry cycle?
Oh my god, my eyes were itchy.
We both have and my glasses are super blurry. It's been a day.
Yeah. Oh, my eyes are so itchy. What was it then? It might be the shirt. Talking about shirts.
Oh,
we went for our game-inspired shirts today.
We're at the bottom of the barrel of the matching shirts, people. But yeah, Toby's more Space Invaders. But it's like but the aliens come from below.
No, where is it?
Yeah, 4 lives.
There was the.
What are you looking for? You can't raise it too high.
Where's it in the back? The mothership or something.
Yeah, there's there.
The back of the
There. There. It's a thing. I'm in a weird Mario show.
More in the camera. There you go.
Mario.
So yeah, I guess that's as good as any time to start.
Yeah, I think it just stresses we're not going to get more people. But thank you for joining.
The captions are not ready.
What do you mean? Oh, because I would be like, hey, like and share, and please do things.
Yeah, but our guide.
It's not a caption. This is a caption. What appears on screen is a caption. What you mean is the introduction script, which is on another tab.
This is Toby.
And this is Rocky.
And if it's your first time here, welcome to Baduy Pride, our little space on the internet where we talk about anything we want.
Why are you sound like you're and then this is completely unscripted and not entirely accurate, but at least it's honest. Join us, we talk about everything and anything random live.
And if it's not your first time here, like our fans, Urim, David, Pico, Andre, and so many more, thank you so much for constantly supporting the show.
Wow, you call them fans. They're really our friends.
But we're about to spend 30 minutes talking about
Ryuutama, the natural fantasy RPG.
And we're not holding the book. I'll grab the book.
We're so prepared, as always, because it's a live thing. And it's a book that doesn't show well. But this is the Kickstarter edition, so that's why it's super shiny.
Yes.
So, yay! It's a tabletop RPG night, and when you think about tabletop RPGs, yes, like Dungeons and Dragons, but different stories.
Mhm.
So, yeah, we're gonna talk about the game. Toby, let's talk about the game.
So Ryuutama is a Japanese role-playing game. They don't use tabletop as a term.
In Japan.
They actually call it table talk role-playing games. So it's a table talk role-playing game
Aborted name for this podcast. No, table talk.
by Atsuhiro Okada, who had worked with Andy Kutkowski and Matt Sanchez to make an English translation of the game. The game clocks at around 245 pages and is filled with a lot of content for a game that tries to approach the tabletop genre in a very, I guess I would say, uniquely Japanese perspective.
I think that's a fair statement. And then, people may remember us mentioning Ryuutama in games that we were planning to play soon. And today, actually, we held our session 0. And session 0 in RPG Talk means that we did character creation and talked about the sort of story we're trying to form together. And
Our expectations.
yeah, and like
our
what are
limitations.
tropes and pegs that we want to have and all these things. So it doesn't sound like a session. It's a very long session because if you really invest time in it, it's a very good discussion.
So more about the game. Ryuutama is what they call a I lost the term Honobono.
Honobono, or feel good in
Yeah.
Japanese.
So it's a fantasy-based setting, but unlike most role-playing games, wherein a fantasy setting means fighting monsters and gaining experience points and saving the world. Here, many jokingly say it's a Hayao Miyazaki / Oregon Trail type of game, wherein the objective is more about taking the journey, about meeting people, exploring things, and occasionally fighting the weird monster that might be in the way.
I love the website write-up about this where it's like, so it says, Ryuutama emphasizes travel, exploration, community, friendship, harmony, and growth. There is also a console RPG-like
Yes.
combat system, but while combat certainly happens, it's not the central focus of the game. Adventures usually involve traveling from one town to another, packing gear, crafting items, cooking, and sharing along the way, getting lost, meeting people, and sometimes cute monsters along the way, braving the elements and trying to set camp properly. It sounds like a lot of mundanity, but it is celebrating the joy of the journey and traveling. And that's what makes it so distinctly Japanese, I feel.
So, like most role-playing games, Ryuutama is played with a group of friends. One player is
I hope you're friends.
One player is the GM or the game master, which the game calls the Ryuujin, and we can get into more details.
There is so much to unpack there.
And the other players are basically the travelers, people who have felt this call to journey and to travel and to explore, which is part of the game.
Yeah, the setting specifically specifies that everybody, at least once in their lives, feels this sense of wanderlust and must travel. And thus so people from all walks of life end up journeying together. It's a journeying RPG.
So let's talk about the characters.
Ooh, yes. Wow, you're going to open the pages? You have not memorized this book.
Yeah, but I just wanted to...
The art is fantastic, and you're
lighting
not
is
going to
not-
be able to show it.
The lighting is not.
Try the downward tilt. Yeah,
Yeah.
that works. So, so the character classes in this are not your typical, like, fighter or mage
Mhm.
outright. Maybe help us to just show the summary, or
Mhm.
can we look at the summary before you show the pictures? But yeah, running through the list, it's actually before the table of contents. We're so prepared.
There. That was the page I was wondering where it was.
Yeah. So our travelers, which is like the minstrel, the merchant, the hunter, the healer, the farmer, the artisan, and the noble. And then there's one other from a new
The
system.
Navigator, which was released in the holiday release.
Yeah, but so the very character classes themselves sound very non-aggressive. At
Mhm.
most, it's the hunter, but the hunter is just good at hunting. You
Mhm.
know, it doesn't necessarily
And finding loot.
Finding
from
loot.
the animals that he has beaten.
Yeah, so it's not so much about the killing, and that's and all of it ties to the tone and the theme of the system that it really tries to capture, and it's just strange that became. So today we had a discussion. We're going to figure out who we want to be. In my previous Ryuutama session, I was an artisan who made storage devices, which means I made boxes. But boxes are amazing in this game, so I don't know how to describe it.
The game focuses on your jobs and your classes. It focuses not so much on individualizing each character based on ancestry or heritage and the like. It assumes that you're free to make up those details as you go along.
Yeah.
So if your game is a human-centric world with talking animals and the like in the different parts of the world, then you can play that. If you instead prefer a game wherein you are embracing characters who are hybrids, we're cat people, you're stork people. Of course, you would have the person who would like to play a shark who's in armor, and that's doable too without having to really change anything. There's 4 main stats in the game, which is basically where a lot of things are derived from. So that's strength, intelligence, spirit, and dexterity. And your ratings here are not even rolled compared to other games.
It's like similar to Apocalypse World, where there's like a preset combinations of dice to assign. That'll be your ratings for the different stats, and it's either like all of them are 6, or you get 2 8s and 2 4s, or you get 8 6 6 4. And what I mean by 8 6 6 4, it's you roll a d8 for the stat, you roll a d6 for the stat, you roll a d4 for the stat.
These stats are tracked as dice because they can upgrade or downgrade depending on events in the game,
or if you concentrate,
such as conditions.
Oh, if you wake up terribly, but so.
And each class has 3 special skills / abilities that they can access. For example, the farmer is known to be tough.
We didn't choreograph that.
And
but the farmer also has many animal friends.
Yes.
And then the artisan can make things and can repair things depending on his chosen sphere of art.
Nobles are known for their refined education. Ooh. They're skilled with etiquette and have much more training with weapons.
Today I'm going to be in this game I'm going to be a healer, and I can heal. I can do first aid, which means you can ignore a status effect for an hour, which it's only after playing the game the first I realized that is an awesome power.
Yes.
And I can hunt for herbs.
And ultimately the game can surprise people who are used to the typical fantasy tropes and the fantasy games, because it still feels familiar enough, but approaches it in a way that from the system level alone, you already find yourself thinking more whimsical, more positive, and more happy things.
Yeah, and it's like, as much as, I guess, because a lot of the classes, when you think about them, feel more like the NPC. What is happening to Toby? I don't know.
My hair. Go
so
on.
It's more like the character classes are more like the NPCs you would encounter in a classical RPG, right? They're the shop owners. They're the people who sell you potions.
The people who wait for you to approach so you
and then
can give
I
it a
heal
quest.
you. So it's these types of characters who decide to leave their homes and go on a quest. Not even a quest, just go on a journey. And that's an amazing, unique RPG story experience.
Each character chooses their type, and this type sort of defines how they look at the world and deal with problems. Attack type characters are
stronger.
They have more hit points. They're more skilled with weapons.
More is 4,
and they tend to deal more damage.
Yeah.
Whereas
I'm a technical character. I'm going to bring this in. I'm a technical character. I have pockets, and I can carry 3 more things. That's an amazing thing.
And pockets are an important. Let's wait. And we're back. But yeah, we had that quick 9:15 blackout. While most games are more focused on finding the optimal way to defeat opponents, or in other cases, surviving. This game more
Most of
weight.
the math is figuring out your inventory.
And as much as that might sound like a bad thing, it's not.
No, it's
Because
glorious.
the joy of this inventory system, I dare say, is the tabletop, no, not tabletop, the tabletop equivalent of playing games like Feast of Odin or the like, wherein it's about finding ways to
It's
make
as
them fit.
basic as you're playing Diablo and you're
Yes.
trying to fit things in your inventory versus your stash.
And by things, we don't mean more weapons.
It
we
could
mean,
be good. It means
I want to bring a bathtub.
my portable bathtub for 450 money and size 5.
Or I want to make sure I have bedding because I want to make sure I sleep well. Because sleep is one of the most important things in this game.
Oh, super.
And that's because while most games talk about combat as the central focus, here the focus is on
The journey. I didn't know how to end that. No, but and because if you think about the earlier description I read out, notice how they detailed really packing your gear, setting up camp, and all this. They're the crunch, so to speak, for this game is more on these details, on your journey preparation and your recovery at the end of the day.
Mhm.
You have to have someone who is quartermaster who will monitor everybody's water and food consumption because there is food and water rations. Everybody consumes one ration per day, and you have to figure out that math.
In terms of pages, the combat rules are around 5. The journey rules are around 20.
Yes, journeying.
Journey means the journey includes having its own system wherein at the start of a journey you roll to see if you slept well.
Your condition for the day.
From that point on, it's the journey itself where the mapper, the one leading the group, has to roll to see if they are going the right direction.
And if you fumble, you end up at exactly the same place you started at the end of the day. It's crazy.
Interestingly as well is the fact that these rolls aren't just rolled against specific target numbers. In most role-playing games, there's a target number you go for. But here, the target numbers are based on the topography,
The terrain
and
guys.
the weather
The
that is
terrain
currently
and
happening
the
in the game.
weather, and the fact that there are so many systems that talk about, well, there's a whole system dedicated to, not so many, but as a dedicated system talk about the terrain types and their respective targets and penalties, and then the weather and what it adds to your targets. It's oddly fun because for higher level characters, then you get to think about equipment or clothing that is suited for weather.
Mhm.
I was torn if I was going to buy an umbrella today. Which lets me move better under sunny and rainy weather. Actually,
So part of the system involves actually filling up a map as you go on your journey, as well as balancing the food and water that you are carrying as a group for your journey.
I am quartermaster for this game, and I think we are officially at 10 viewers. Are we at 10? I think we're at 10.
Yay! Oh god, that's right. Troop guy celebrates 10, more than 10. Yay!
Well, it's 10 because it's always -2.
But again, it's all about finding new experiences, and Ryuutama focused on the journey as its major experience. You will find that this is so much stressed because whereas in most games, hit points is about how close you are to dying from
Yes.
damage you received. In Ryuutama, hit points represents your general well-being. It's not about
Including your mental health, ladies
Yes.
and gentlemen.
So having failed or having rolled terribly in how well you slept means you start the scene or you start the
day.
journey
Yeah.
with half your hit points. You're grumpy, you're not feeling well, you're frustrated, and you're annoyed. And worse, if the journey itself has a bad roll, the mapper didn't roll well and you walked around in circles, and then the journey itself you also rolled bad, then your hit points even suffer worse because that
Yeah.
represents the abstract summation of you tripped and rolled down the hill,
Yeah.
you were crossing the bridge and fell into the water.
Now you're dirty, smelly, tired, and thirsty, and all these things.
and by the time
no.
you arrive in the town, I hate this.
So it's a lot of that, and that's a crazy demonstration of how you can really create an RPG about just about anything and really like dive into topic really well. So we super love this about Ryuutama. It is a celebration of niche protection in
Mhm.
a way, and it celebrates its own niche. And like we are going to talk about journeying.
In I guess the last element in terms of journey before we move to the next part is journey is such an important facet in the game because the experience points you get are more based on the topographies and challenges you face.
Yeah,
The experience you get from fighting monsters is not that big compared to the rest.
monsters are more important for loot.
And even if you fight, let's say 20 monsters, the only XP you'll get from fighting monsters is whatever XP reward you were supposed to get among all the 20 that was the highest.
Yeah,
In weather, however, if you went through multiple types of topography and weather, they all contribute to the experience points.
so it's better to travel further and not keep fighting things.
Because fighting is not the focus of the game.
No. But not to say that there is no combat in Ryuutama. And in fact, we talked about a sort of JRPG combat system.
Mhm.
What do we mean by JRPG? We're thinking classic turn-based or mostly turn-based JRPGs where there is a front row and a back row because
Yeah, this is the
how will
proper
that show
orientation.
well? Yeah, it's like
There you go.
tilt down. Okay, that this egg, this broken egg, represents the battlefield and how there is the front area for both sides and the back area for both sides. So if you're in the back and you only have a sword, you cannot attack because you must be in the front row to attack and
the,
things like that.
the system has that fun feeling of do I maneuver to the back because I'm now injured so the guys in the front can protect me? It has this interesting system called objects.
Oh,
Where
I
in
love
the
it.
start of a fight, you declare the 5 objects that are present in the location.
It'd be like a tree and a rock, a strangely large rock on the ground, and things like that. And then so later, when you are describing combat, they could be like, I hide behind the tree so that I don't get hit. Things like
And,
that.
and by incorporating the objects in the action, you actually get bonuses to your roll. The interesting thing, in addition to that, is the fact that objects can only be used once in the battle.
Once, yeah.
So it's a challenge as well. It's a small mini game of sorts wherein you're trying to think of ways to incorporate them. Or if you're working with friends in a scene, I don't want to use the tree because I want him to use it, so I'll use this instead. Some later powers actually allow more objects to be added. There's magic.
There's actions to take.
There's
Also,
magic
like,
and there's
I'm gonna
actions.
scout and stuff.
And ultimately, battle just feels so different.
Yeah.
It's not a boring, I just keep rolling to see if I hit. There's a little bit of navigation, there's maneuvering, and there's the initiative system.
Oh.
While most games use initiative as merely who goes first, in this game, it doubles as your defense. Because if you're fast enough to strike first, then you're the one moving fast enough to avoid damage.
Yeah, and I love the little detail of any ties in initiative are broken by
Your
your
condition.
condition for the morning.
How well you are.
So
feeling
if you
today.
slept well and you're high in initiative, then you will go first.
Yes.
Crazy things. But even though combat is not the focus, the system's very fun.
And it has a nice, meaty feel of combat. More so if you consider the new systems that add as you go beyond level 1.
Mm-hmm.
Everything from feints to assessing the situation, and it allows you to shift your initiative numbers and the like. Of course, we can't talk about combat in a role-playing game without talking about magic. And magic comes,
Melee!
and magic comes in 2 flavors in this game. We have the incantations, which is, I guess you could say, closer to the traditional, they call it Vakian school of magic, which Dungeons and Dragons and the like use. We're in. There are spell slots, and you learn these spells, and you have to in-game learn new spells to add to your book.
We
so you can
apologize
learn
if we
them.
mispronounce things in this episode.
But there is also the second type of magic, which is closer to games like the Storyteller Systems Changeling,
Mm.
which is the seasonal magic.
Oh, my gosh. We, because of the fact that, see, the weather is more important than combat. The very weather conditions determine the types of possible magic you may have access to and how players play with the seasonal magic system. It's all in the fun. And it's just crazy things to come up with on the fly, like the minstrel, which you'll compare to a bard, I guess.
Mhm.
Except, the minstrel really has to come up with songs
Mhm.
to achieve the effects of the
If
minstrel.
the song connects to what you want to happen, the
Yeah, then you
benefit happens.
get a better benefit. So it's all these little things that just celebrate the whole quirkiness of the genre it's trying to explore. It's amazing.
Magic includes very useful familiar spells. Like there's one wherein you call a shooting star, and it allows you to hit with small damage, which is
Wow,
pretty much
very magic missile,
yes.
right? So,
But then you also have seasonal magic, like the fall magic, which allows you to summon dried leaves. And that's it. That's all that's listed. Because the game, again, expects you and your GM to work together in coming up with how these effects work. Maybe I use the leaves to distract the opponent. Or maybe I use it to hide us because the dragon's coming and I don't want him to see us.
or maybe you're just having a bad day, and I'm gonna make you a pile of leaves to jump into.
See? And that's the sort of game this offers. It works best if the players and the GM work together.
Okay, I want to skim through comments very briefly because there's a lot more on YouTube
Oh, yes.
than Facebook. So Pico was asking, can it be bought now in most stores or online only? It's probably easier for us in the Philippines to get it as a digital copy on places like Drive Thru
Yeah.
RPG.
I think the printed editions are out of print. I think they ran out. I'm not sure if they have print on demand.
Ooh, yeah. So it's a little hard to find. And then Andrew is saying it sounds a bit more like in real life adventures. And yes, I kind of like it's more focused on exploration rather than combat.
Definitely.
Super. And then there was one other thing I wanted to highlight. Oh, Pico of course jokes that even real life beddings are still important. Hey, beddings are super important. Instead of that umbrella, I got my beddings and a pillow for 10 more money because pillows are important.
People also ask, are the songs of the minstrel included in the book? No, you
No,
have to come
players
up with the
gotta
songs.
do it. Players gotta do it. So it's really up to you to figure out what your songs are gonna be. So that's up to you, ladies and gentlemen.
Urim adds, I was a farmer because Urim was in a Ryuutama game we had in the past. He mentioned some of his favorite memories, which include the monkey in the water.
I don't know why this is a favorite memory. It's certainly memorable. I'll never forget that monkey, but it was not a favorite.
And the Corgi army.
The Corgi army.
Because
Okay.
in that story, I had them meet this small town that was ruled by a group of Corgis that used to be soldiers, but they have lost their pride and reputation because they're too cute.
Kenny asked, is it newbie friendly? I think it generally is. It sounds a little intimidating. You just got to get over the party, the little initial inventory
Mhm.
math. And it's only because there's the shopping portion of character creation. You start with 1,000 gold or whatever.
Yeah, go.
And you're trying to figure out what to buy versus how much you can carry versus how much space you have. And it becomes crazy because then and it's this long list of items you can buy and they don't explain systemic effects. It's like there is soap for washing things and there is a washing kit
Well,
for washing clothes.
there are some that have mechanics.
Yeah,
But for the others that don't, you can't help but feel like you still want to buy them.
yeah, then
Because
it's like $10 for the pillow.
or like the soap example, it doesn't really do anything. But then, will you really be that character
Are you traveling without soap?
who doesn't bathe with soap? And it's that sort of feeling that this game invokes. I mean, if you're playing a character who's rugged and he, lives in the woods and doesn't care, then the hell with soap, right?
Yeah.
But then your character is the noble or the artisan or the merchant. Can you imagine a merchant showing up to your town and the merchant never bathed?
Hmm.
Mm.
I am a healer, so I think I'm gonna smell. No. You just gotta deal with me if you want healing.
Now that's the player side of a lot of things. There is the GM side, which in itself
There is a GM side.
is amazingly unique. The GM in the game is called the Ryuujin, which I believe means dragon spirit or something similar, guardian spirit. The game itself, after all, Ryuutama means dragon egg.
Yes, and the main draw here is that your GM, the person running the game, also has a sheep and also earns experience
Because the GM is also a character in the
Yes.
game world. And that is literally the Ryuujin.
and it's these different dragons and different tones of stories, and GMs earn experience across any sessions they play for other players, regardless of the group of players.
Yes.
So That's kind of exciting. So then the GM, whether he plays with 2 or 3 different groups in different Ryuutama adventures, also gains experience.
Mhm.
And what does this experience do for you, Toby?
So this is a player character sheet.
Yeah.
Which is 2 pages. Notice this is the GM character sheet, which
It's a lot
is
more
still
empty boxes.
2 pages. The GM portrays what is called as the Ryuujin, and the Ryuujin is a guardian spirit who has chosen specific travelers to focus on, because the Ryuujin gathers the stories of these travelers into a tome, and then these stories are then offered to the elemental dragons, the seasonal dragons, who then read and eat and devour the stories and are happy. And through their happiness, the world continues to flourish. So the Ryuujin, as the GM, actually has to unlock specific powers by running more games.
Yes.
And at the risk of spoiling some things, because I haven't shared this with the players,
Yeah.
one example of what the Ryuujin can unlock is fast forward.
Oh my god.
By being able to use the fast forward, I believe the term was benediction, it allows me to fast forward specific scenes, which I feel the players can be spared from. So the idea of the Ryuujin is that you are helping the travelers go through the journey, but if you cannot help them with your powers, then they'll have to survive it. So let's say it's a travel on the raft. And as far as what you think in your story would work, they will have to survive 3 journey checks because the journey on the raft is that long. Unless you have the fast forward power, you will have the players survive the 3 rolls. And if they fail the rolls, then if they don't succeed in those rolls, then maybe the raft crashes and they have to try again. But as the Ryuujin, if you realize, they're having a hard time, I'll activate this power, and that's when you suddenly declare. The mists form, and all of a sudden, as they clear, you're at the port. Ta-ta! And you know that the journey was supposed to take 2 more days, which is the 2 more rolls. So that's the sort of things the Ryuujin can do. The Ryuujin gains different powers as he progresses as a GM, but then the choice of Ryuujin matters. As Rocky mentioned, there are the 4 different Ryuujins: the green, the blue, the black, and the red one.
Oh man.
And they focus on different stories.
Different sort of genres of stories.
While the green one is about
adventure,
journey,
travel,
friendship. The red one is about love, passion, and deep relationships. The black one is about sacrifice, death, decay. Well, the blue one was the one about friendship. The red one is about battle, danger, about challenge. So, as the start of the game, in session 0, you decide on which Ryuujin has noticed the players, and that tells the GM what theme to follow.
Which dragon is following you? Who is our Mushu?
And that acts as well as a guide for the GM to stay within certain boundaries. If everyone's looking to play something inspired by My Neighbor Totoro, then a GM would be terrible if he suddenly springs something like
the Red Dragon and Combat Begins,
or Graveyard of the Fireflies.
Oh, yeah.
So it's that sort of boundaries that the game teaches the players and the GM by simply playing, and it's amazing. But yeah, that's the Ryuujin side.
Yeah,
let's talk about.
That's it. That's your.
Was that it?
Yeah, that's all we prepared.
Oh, okay. Then that leaves us to the final thing, which is the game is. Other than available, the game also has a very, open-minded view towards its license.
Oh yeah, so there's a lot of fan content that has generally gets approval from the creators.
You are allowed to pitch your ideas. Let's say you've checked out the game and you want to come up with a book about
a setting, a
bird
story,
people, or a book about dedicated to a new form of magic, which is inspired by our
Avatar.
Then you can write to them, and they will not quack, but they will actually write back to you if they think it's a great idea and give you the support. If you want, you can also just release unofficial stuff, which I know some people have done in Drive-Thru RPG, and that's fine too. Because as far as they're concerned, the only reason that the permission thing is there is so that if they were working on a similar product, they can actually warn you and go, oh wait, we actually are coming out with something like that. So you might want to write something else.
Yeah. So it's a very open, happy little community that supports more stories.
Mhm.
Okay, and then yeah, that's Ryuutama. There were a few more questions on the YouTube side. Pico is asking, are the GM powers limited in nature?
Yes, only because there is a list for each dragon that you can unlock. But part of that is, again, trying to not slip out with too much spoilers. You are allowed to buy from different lists at a certain point in time.
Then Pico also mentioned that his music will probably sit that walk in the song, and we've had that. We've had players use current pop culture as their song lyrics.
We had a player who used Britney Spears songs in the heat of battle in order to give bonuses to the rest of the team.
Yeah, oops, she did it again. So all that stuff. And then and I think that's our general recap. Wow, that was the time, as always, flew by very quickly.
I guess the last thing, just before we end, is Ryuutama celebrates the JRPG focus so much that even the choice of monsters touches on that. There are, if I remember correctly, at least 12 different types of dragons, because the dragons are celebrated in so many ways in this game. But there are also skeletons and slimes and other things.
Jelly!
And one of the most popular or infamous enemies in this game is the Neko Goblins, which are the cat people goblin folk that seem to love shiny things and boxes. So it's an awesome game.
They are cats. So
to close.
Close the closing script.
But to close the topic, we highly recommend this game.
Oh, we're doing recommendations. I mean, we don't do reviews, but we do recommendations. We super recommend this game. And if you want a different feel, if you're tired of the sort of what's this number crunching creek of trying to constantly level up your characters and sort of classic D&D sword and sorcery adventures, then maybe you want to take a break and travel the countryside with us in Ryuutama. And that's sort of what we're doing, because we have a bunch of heavy games, and then we decided we need something light as a palate cleanse, as a alternative. Yeah, because maybe dealing with other stuff is a little too real. Then this is a nice little escape, and maybe one of the perfect RPGs to play during this pandemic.
So I hope you guys check it out.
Yay!
And that's 30 minutes. We had a lot of fun. We got to use Tube Guy.
Yes!
And we hope that you'll join us next time.
Thanks for all the people joining us on this Sunday. And of course, I can't find my things. Yeah. Of course, if you have questions for us or suggestions for future episodes, then feel free to use the bit.ly link below, Baduy Pride Ideas. We love to look for more ideas to talk about. And I think, I don't know, we're able to think of the geeky stuff, but maybe the non-geeky stuff is a good thing to suggest more. Maybe more relationship stuff, maybe more getting through pandemic stuff. We'd love to hear your questions. You can follow us on Twitter, @AltoBinoche and RG Sunico blog.
You can also check out our blog. That's baduypride.com, and you'll find our old episodes, pictures, and snippets about our life.
Yep. And I guess leave the title up. Okay, yeah. So feel free to continue the conversation in the comments below and let us know what you think about what you heard about Ryuutama. Is this a game you want to play? Is this an adventure you want to take on? Is this a journey you are going to begin?
Are you anxious to figure out if you can pack stuff?
And how do you do laundry while you're moving around? And can a donkey carry a barrel inside a wooden chest just so that you can put a portable bathtub? Okay. Be sure to subscribe for notifications, whether on Facebook or YouTube, so you don't miss our next live stream. Once again, I'm Rocky.
And I'm Toby.
And this is Baduy Pride. Okay? It's me.